Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I think I need this table back.
Oh, you don't have a place like to put your
No, I got like, no, I'm fine. Don't worry about me. Welcome to our May 14th. My birthday's in a week. Tiverton School Committee meeting. I don't have a wish list on Amazon. Is there anyone signed up for open forum? Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
second.
All those in favor? Dr. Sanchioni?
Under personnel action, we have resignation of math teacher at middle school.
Agenda, I don't have my laptop. Got it. Just the agenda.
Manager, Sherry Donovan, and guidance secretary at high school, Marilyn Murray. For stipend positions, we have 16 coordinator positions split amongst two of our educators, Mr. Chairman Rucho and Bill Phillips. An instructional coach at the middle school, Maria Clary, that's the science. Coordinator of guidance at the middle school, Catherine Brennan and Sharon Loper. Coordinator of ELA at the middle school, Shelley Noguera. Athletic director at the middle school, Steve Schreiner. Cross-country coach at the middle school, Steve Schreiner. Instructional coach for math, Kristen Destamps. Basic coordinator for social studies at the middle school, Christine Costa. Girls basketball coach at the middle school, Michael Brigham. Newspaper club advisor at the middle school, Darryl Roywald. And contact teacher at the middle school, Sherry Alves.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to move up 10C.
Second.
All those in favor? Item 10C, Newport County Prevention Coalition, Ms. Black.
That feels like such a gift after a long rainy day. Thank you. I am here just to give a very brief update on the Newport County Prevention Coalition. We were established in 2017 under the fiscal oversight of the town of Tiverton. So whereas most of the coalition grants for Tiverton Prevention Coalition were under the school department, this grant is under, or this role is under the town of Tiverton. So that's why I don't often come before you representing that. But at Mrs. Black's request to kind of give you a brief update, that's why I'm here. Some great news for the regional coalition, which includes Newport, Middletown, Portsmouth, Tiverton, and Little Compton. Jamestown opted not to participate with us, but we're always hoping to pull them in so that we can say we represent the whole county. We've recently received some fairly significant grants to address substance use among youth in the region. First is our state opioid response grant, which is a 2-year grant to fund some innovative opiate-related community activities. So it could be anything from wellness, which we really love to do because that really is the prevention side of things rather than waiting until there's treatment needed. We have that SOAR, it's called SOAR grant, and we were allowed to grant mini grants from that. So though the mini grant deadline is May 24th, we're looking forward to seeing what community partners are going to send in for requests and then kind of spread that support throughout the region. The second large grant that we recently received is a Partnership for Success grant, and that's to address underage drinking throughout the county. And for the first time, sort of in my memory, they included not just 12 to 17, which is pretty much traditional underage drinking, but they raised it to 20, which is really excellent considering the drinking age is 21. We were missing that age group of age 17 to age through 20, which seems to me like the most a most important age group, considering those are our college age or newly working graduates, newly driving, yes. So this is kind of an exciting opportunity to do some partnership work with CCRI in Newport, Salve, and even Roger Williams University because of their they're outside of our region. However, they had some housing on Aquidneck Island, and so we want to keep them in our loop as well. So we're very excited to work with the colleges, but also to work with some of the major workplace groups. So for most kids, that usually is in the service industry. So we're going to be doing some work with restaurants and helping them to think through some policies that might help their young workers. So we're excited about that. We are waiting for word on a Van Buren Charitable Trust grant. We should hear within a week, and I'm very hopeful because once we had submitted a request to do some work around mental health and strengthening partnerships with some of the mental health providers in our region in Newport County. We were asked to submit, it was a 1-year grant request, and they sent it back to us and said, why don't you ask for 3 years? So putting that out there, we're very, very hopeful that we're going to get that. That's going to be called No Wrong Door. So it's going to help with access. So when folks who are in crisis, for a mental health crisis, trying to get support for a loved one or for themselves, can be really challenging. You call and call and call, and you might not get an appointment for quite some time. So we're working on that access piece so that even if you call the wrong provider and you need services elsewhere, we're going to get you where you need to go. And then the fourth grant that is yet to be written, but we've gotten the opportunity to write for the Drug-Free Community Grant, which Tiverton is on year 8 out of 10. So they're almost out of that range of funding. So we're hoping that by requesting and hopefully receiving drug-free community grant money as a region, we'll be able to continue some of the good work that Tiverton Coalition is doing. Middletown is in a similar scenario. They're in year 9 of 10. So they're also looking to be able to support some of the work that they've been doing over the many years. We're hopeful that this regional DFC grant will do that. In terms of our initiatives, we've been doing a mental health initiative for quite a while. We've got a resource guide that was published for the use of all Newport County residents, again, to try to help folks to find where they need to get access to services and supports. We made sure that it's an online resource so it can be really easily updated. It's in hard copy too, but the real value, I think, is in the online document that someone is continuously double checking to make sure that you don't get a dead end. When you call a phone number, the worst thing in the world is to, either the number's not in service or they don't take your insurance or whatever it might be. So this is a sort of a continuous opportunity to get people to where they want to be. Hopefully it'll fit hand in glove with that grant that I mentioned from Van Buren. Our faith initiative is also a very important aspect of what we're doing because we know that faith organizations tend to be a support system for families. And many times, if a family is connected to a faith institution, it's the first place that they go when their family might be experiencing some difficulty. So we've been trying to get faith leaders the tools that they need to be supportive for the family, more secular types of things, because clearly I would not be the one telling faith leaders how to do their job, but to provide some of those resources when what a family or an individual may need may exceed what a local pastor could provide in terms of support. So we've established a really wonderful partnership in recent years with our faith leaders throughout the county. And one very exciting event lately has been working with Amicable Church and Reverend Sterrett in Tiverton. He requested a 3-part family prevention series, and they've just completed session 2 for his parish, and it's sort of been well received, and the other faith leaders that we meet with are asking to have that replicated, mostly in Portsmouth and Middletown. So that's kind of an honor to be able to stretch and meet the needs. So the 2 final things I wanted to tell you about. Tuesday, May 28th at CCRI in Newport, we are bringing in a national speaker named Kevin Hines. And Kevin Hines is a young man who attempted to die by suicide from jumping off the Golden Gate Bridge. He's, I think, one of 36 people to ever survive a suicide attempt that way. he is doing the national sort of speaking about the experience, the mental health experiences that he had to deal with, and now sort of going out and sharing his story to hopefully make sure that people that get the help that they need well in advance. So that is May 28th, 6 p.m. at CCRI. And then the other more local one is Four Legs to Stand On, Act 2, is a story about the opiate crisis, and that's going to be at the Tiverton Library at 7 p.m. June 3rd. It's a Monday.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Thank you,
Any
Rebecca.
questions from anyone on the committee?
No,
Mrs.
I'd just like to say that, as you all know, we've been meeting once a month on Monday, all these years. And that's the reason why I think we're getting all these grants, because we're established. We used to meet in the schools, and that meant the guidance counselors could come in, the kids could come in. It was amazing. Now we meet at the church, and it's more difficult for them to come, but we've still been meeting. And then we meet in Middletown at their town hall. But bringing in the rest of the county, as I said before, was a little difficult at first, because everyone's like, are you going to take my money? Where's my money? And so now everybody sees that we're going to all be together. We did invite Jamestown a number of times, but they weren't interested because we didn't want to leave them out, just like Tiverton's always left out. It's always the island. So now we've all gotten together. And thank you, Rebecca and Ray and everybody. You've all been doing a fabulous job. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we are on old business discussion, budget history, FY20 budget. Dr. Sanquioni? He's playing Candy Crush? Fortnite.
So I'm going to show you some information regarding a couple options that the town of Tiverton has to consider as they go into the voting season, I believe, with absentee ballots starting tomorrow and then the actual FTR on Saturday. And I guess this is the penultimate presentation, because my final presentation will be the outcome of one of these two options to you and how we're going to address that. But you're aware of these numbers. There's Budget 1 that was approved by the Budget Committee, and Budget 2, which is put forth by a petitioner, but certainly addresses the needs of the school system at a higher level. And you can see the differences there, and the most important thing is that the difference between Budget 1 and Budget 2 is $447,300. And in a small district, that is significant, and I know you know that. But what's also important is that Budget 2, that was a very fiscally responsible budget put forth originally by the school committee and then adopted along the way, in the sense that we removed all new positions, we removed all big increases for curriculum and technology. We really brought it down to the bare bones needs of the district. And so anything below the Budget 2 line item, or the number there, really puts the school department in a precarious situation. So I'd like to explore that a little closer with you. So here again is Budget 1, and it's really supported mostly by state aid. The town is providing $433,134. It's a 1.8% increase on the town. And then the bottom line there, I just show you what the possibilities were. As you know, a budget can be increased by 4%, but in this case, in Budget 1, it's 1.8%. So I'll go back to what I said to you momentarily ago, is that Budget 2 is a fiscally responsible budget. Budget 1 brings it below that. And I'm showing you here, if we're faced with a $447,300 deficit compared to a budget that's only meeting our basic needs, how do we address that? And so this is obviously going to be a very detailed conversation with you all. I'm outlining here some potential ways to deal with it. You know, trimming things like legal, which is always a risk, and supplies. But again, I want to remind you, supplies is not increased. It's decreasing where we're currently at. It's decreasing equipment where we're currently at. I'm factoring in some salary savings as an offset, cutting technology from where we're currently at. And the one at the top there, undefined, I'm leaving that undefined because what I express to you is that if you take every expense account and drop it to its lowest level, and you're just budgeting for energy, and you're just budgeting for transportation and mandated special ed and things like that, in the end, there's only one place to go, right? It's personnel. And that's where the undefined line stands there. So, you know, the difference between Budget 1 and budget two is pretty significant for us. You know, one of the things that, and I want to show this comparatively because I think this is a good story here. On a home that's valued at $300,000 in Tiverton, budget one would, and just train your eyes to the last line, would actually bring a decrease in taxes of $244, which is pretty amazing in this economy and where we stand today and so forth. And that's a great benefit to for the people who live in Tiverton. But I'll remind you that and come back to it. So budget two, again, very fiscally responsible budget. Again, meeting our mandated needs. Would ask the town to contribute $880,434, which is a 3.7% increase. Some facts behind it then is the things in red are those things that are mandated that we're fiscally responsible for. So addressing our contracts, meeting our transportation obligation, meeting our special education increase. But what's in black then is also important because we don't cut personnel, we don't cut technology, we don't cut legal, supplier, or equipment. So it's just as important as meeting our obligations. So again, I keep saying it's a very fiscally responsible budget. But here's the thing I keep saying, what a win-win this is for the town of Tiverton, that we can still have a budget that supports the schools and allows us not to cut things that are going to impact education. And on that same $300,000 home, there's a savings of $179 in taxes. So we can save taxes and have a fiscally responsible budget. And, you know, you've heard me say what a win-win this could be. Sort of to round out the story, as you're aware, there's capital that's been allotted to the schools, and in budget one, all these items have been allocated, and in budget two, it reduces our capital by $100,000. And I would express to you, although that loss would be felt, picking up the $400,000 in the operating is much more preferable. This is one-time money. You don't know if it's ever coming back. And certainly we would make a decision probably not to renovate one less bathroom or something to that extent, which would, again, be highly preferable over facing cuts in supplies and personnel and things of that nature. So I've done this presentation a number of times, and you're the audience I will show this slide to because you understand it, and not that others wouldn't, but it's important for you personally to understand it. Even in budget two or budget one, you're balancing next year on one-time revenue. And so what's in red there is, again, that fund balance that people talk about is being depleted, and Medicaid is also going to be depleted. So just to balance, there's going to be one-time funds being utilized to do that. And so you can see the total at the bottom there in blue. So as people consider between the two budgets, one requires some significant cuts to our budget and does save on taxes, and the other prevents us from having those cuts, but also reduces taxes. So it's a good decision for people to consider and think through. And we'll just remind everyone that you can vote on Saturday. Polls open at 7 till 8 o'clock at night, and there's absentee voting available starting Thursday and Friday. So just want to update the committee, and we'll have another presentation at some point on how this all plays out.
Thank you, Dr. Sanquioni. I'm just going to make two comments and then open it up to the rest of the committee. One is, that savings on a $300,000 home amounts to a $63 difference, or, $12 a month, $1.25 or something a week, something like that. So it really is a marginal difference. The second is there was a flyer that was put out today that really just contains a frank lie, which is that this budget doesn't decrease taxes. In fact, it does. Why people have to perpetuate lies like that is beyond me. And I'll open it up to the rest of the committee. Mrs. Black? Okay. Mrs. Pavo?
No, just be quiet.
Ms. Farmer?
I indeed got the wonderful red, white, and blue flyer. It's become an annual event, getting pretty much the same flyer. They just update the dates and the rhetoric. There are some really ridiculous claims put forth in this flyer, and we have to remember that the Tiverton Taxpayers Association is very well funded in their efforts. It's an annual fight. We all know that. you know, their membership doesn't generally make use of our public schools through their own choice. But, you know, they don't represent the majority of the families in this town who do indeed make use of our public schools. So, you know, I just want everyone to remember a few things. The town's contribution toward our schools hasn't increased in the last 5 years. This is really the first time that we're in need of it, and in much need. You know, our teachers and our staff, many of whom live right here in town with us, they deserve to earn a living that's commensurate with their peers around the state. I'm not going to back away from that. They deserve it. You know, our new superintendent, Dr. Sanchione, you've already set into action some great ideas to help our kids learn and help the teachers develop in their profession as well. Our PTOs and our boosters, they're hitting it out of the park with their family engagement efforts. You know, the difference in these taxes in these two budgets, as Dr. Sanchione alluded to, is very small, and Dr. Larkin, you as well. I mean, I'm calculating 20 cents a day for the difference. You know, aren't our schools worth that investment? I'm hoping that, you know, we can get this town together to support our schools. We've made it clear that the financial need is there. I think in order for us to continue along the positive path that we've taken, we need the funding this year. Thank you.
Ms. Palish, anything?
Very well said. I don't even want to follow up to that, except
right.
that someone did ask me to explain maintenance of effort and capital. So I get to do that. So there is this, this falsehood being perpetuated that somehow the capital that we've requested is going to increase maintenance of effort. So maintenance of effort is simply a law that says we have to get what we got the year before. That's it. Same funding that we got the year before. There's exceptions to it. There's ways to reduce it. But in general, and it's that way for all cities and towns, not just us. So one of the things that you are allowed to do is exclude from your maintenance of effort capital. So what's capital? So if you think of your own home budget, our operating expense is your utilities, your mortgage, your groceries. Your capital is you renovated a bathroom, you bought a refrigerator or a dishwasher. Those are one-time expenses. So when the town is calculating maintenance of effort, they are allowed to exclude the refrigerator, the bathroom renovation. It does not increase the maintenance of effort. There is a lie being perpetuated right now that it will. And no one on the school committee, Dr. Sanchione, no one on the school committee, our lawyers, no one has said that it's going to. It's a one-time capital expense. The law allows you to exclude it. We've all said it's going to be excluded. We went so far to say it's going to be excluded. We actually separated our two requests when we went before the budget committee. We went forward with our operating request, and then we went forward with our capital request, just so everybody was on the same page and understood. So when you read those falsehoods, when you see those flyers, there is absolutely no way that one-time capital expenses are going to increase our maintenance of effort regardless of which budget gets passed. So I just wanted to explain that quickly.
Well, I think it's also worthwhile pointing out that there hasn't been any budget allocated to the school, or any capital allocated to the schools in any budget, at least since 2012.
Right.
So that may be part of the reason why there is a tendency to misunderstand that, but I agree with you. It does seem to be something that people are purposefully misunderstanding or slanting.
There seems to be a lot of purposeful misunderstanding right now, but it's unfortunate. I think, Diane said it best. It's like we sort of sit back quietly and without a lot of fanfare and without a lot of, we don't make a lot of noise. We manage every dollar we get. We manage it effectively, we manage it efficiently, we don't create a lot of drama. We haven't had an increase from the taxpayers in 5 years. We funded millions of dollars worth of infrastructure and technology. So, you know, the fact that we're attacked year after year after year, it's frustrating, but we will continue to do what we do. Quietly and effectively, we manage every single dollar. This is the year we need taxpayers to help. We need taxpayers to help. You know, we've had some special ed costs, we've had some one-time revenue, you know, issues, and this is the year we're asking for an increase. And like Diane, I hope that people see fit, you know, after so many years of not asking for it, that we get it this year.
Thank you.
Dr. Larkin, could you please just explain the reimbursement?
So,
people are asking
so
about that.
for the reimbursement, the way so this is the only way that money that has been appropriated to the schools can be returned to the town, and this is something that happens with all of our bonds, and in particular the most recent bond for the middle school and the high school. So basically, because our capital improvement plan was approved by RIDE, we are eligible for around 35% of all the money that we expend on that capital, on those capital projects, comes back directly to the town. It does not come to the schools. It goes back to the town's general fund. So in the $15 million bond that we just, or $15 million of work that we just completed on the middle school and the high school, it's somewhere between $7 and $8 million. Or no, sorry, I miscalculated that. It's about $5 million. And as we, you know, do any other projects that are incorporated in our overall plan, which is a 5-year plan, we're still eligible for that money, and that again comes back directly to the town. Did that explain it? I don't know. Didn't sound like it explained it to me,
that's good.
but
Thank you,
Okay.
Dr. Sanquioni. That was a good presentation.
You're
Right.
welcome.
thank you. So if there's no other questions or comment, we're going to move to 10A, request approval to accept donation from a senior project.
Okay.
I guess Mr. Ashley's not
I
here,
have
but
that in Mr. Ashley's
Dr. Sanquioni?
absence. Sick family here. So we had a senior, Evan Arcayer, who held a car show as part of his senior project, and as a result of that car show, raised $1,100, and he would like to donate that
wow.
$1,100 to the Fine Arts Department, specifically the Technology Department. Mr. Ashley asks for your consideration and with gratitude to accept this donation.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Second it.
Falling over
There can be
herself.
2 seconds. I found that out last night.
There can be?
Yes,
Oh, how about a third?
I
Um,
guess.
Rob said.
Any comments? I'll just say that it's with great appreciation, and I
Really? Yes.
laud his humanitarian instincts.
Very successful.
Thank you so much to Evan.
Yep.
I
That's
know
right.
his family well, and I couldn't believe how much money I heard he had raised.
That's wonderful.
It's phenomenal.
It's great. So all those in favor? Okay, thank you. Item 10B, Rhode Island Association of School Committees Annual Meeting.
Yes, I just wanted to say that Mrs. Pavo and I attended it, and Mrs. Funworth graduated, right? Congratulations. And Mrs. Pavo got, how many hours did you have?
For this year, 50 plus.
50-plus award for this year, so.
Masters, yeah.
Master, so that was very nice. It was I put in the packet what it was about. You've seen it on the news and the restructuring and all the different things, and Dr. Sanquioni had put in what he thought was in. Would you like to say anything about what you read about it?
There's some interesting governance changes. I think we just wait and see how the legislature deals with it. I get updates every day from RISA, and it seems like it changes every day.
Yeah, they're modifying it and trying to work it out, but they did give a nice presentation about it. It was a very good one. Yeah.
That was a very good day.
Okay, thank you.
That was it.
Item 10D, new housing development, Mrs. Black?
Yes, we always like to follow the development in the town, because people say we're losing students, but actually, I was at my brother's wake, and someone came through the line and said, "You better go to the planning board tomorrow night." And I said, "Are you kidding me?" And they said, "Yes." So I went, and it was the housing development, Tiverton Heights, the one they've been talking about since 2016, the 300 houses. And a lot of people have said it's going away, it's not going to happen, because they didn't want it to happen. So the interesting thing is, on the planning board, I sent it to you, and it says discussion and vote. But what they found out that night, as the lawyer was there for the Tiverton Heights, was there was no vote, because it goes through the state. And the state has given them a 1-year extension and then another year extension for them to put everything together and make it work. Because it's in R60, all those houses couldn't fit, so they have to have all these variances and zoning things. But because it went to the state level, because of the nature of the project, it is going to go through. They did get it down to maybe 275 or something, but still, so we just have to watch it. That's why I like to go to those meetings and bring it back to everybody, because it's important to keep our eye on that. And I'll continue to go, and if there's small ones, we don't have to even think about it, but anything big like that, I'll bring it back to the committee so we
Yep.
can keep our eye on it.
Appreciate you
We
doing
want
that.
the kids, that's what we're here for. We're very excited about it, but we just have to know. Thank you.
Okay. Item 10E, request for proposal, school department legal services. Dr. Sanquioni?
So per your request, you've asked us to go out and see what the price points are for new legal services, so we have the proposal here. I just wanted to show it to you before we went forward with it, make sure we're still on the same page with that.
Any questions about that? I don't think we need a vote necessarily.
I would prefer we take a vote.
So do you
Okay.
get the proposals, and we haven't done this in a while, so.
We get the proposals and we would bring them to you. I mean, ultimately, it's your attorney, so.
And we'll just go through them?
Yep.
Okay. 'Cause we haven't- we
We'll
haven't-
create an evaluation or criteria
A
sheet.
tool.
Right.
Perfect.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we go out to bid, or go out for RFP for school department legal services.
Second.
So, and just to clarify, this was something we had brought up
Oh, in the fall.
in the fall, and it was really an opportunity just to sort of see what was out
Yeah.
there.
Yes.
Not
No,
necessarily.
we're not unhappy, just making sure we're getting a
Right.
good deal for the taxpayer, and it's
Right.
always good. Like I said, I don't think we've been out for bid for a
20
while.
years.
I want to say 10,
Well,
but it's been a while, so it's always good to go out and see.
But at least 6.
I expect our current one will be competitive, but it's nice to see.
Okay.
see what's out there.
Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Okay, thank you. Item 10F, Early Risers Program.
Make sure you have, I know you received it, I'm going to hand you out a flyer, but I know you received that in your packet. Per a discussion that we've had throughout the year and based upon a need in the community, we are ready now to execute a before-school program at our 3 elementary schools and our middle school. At the elementary schools, we would be able to start at 7, right up to the beginning of school, and at the middle school, we would be able to offer the service starting at 6:30. We made the costs as reasonable as possible for our parents. We know this is a need, and we have costed out that amount based upon our overhead, which would incur hiring people to obviously staff the program and providing students with a breakfast and so forth. So we feel like we can execute this very successfully. We need a minimum of 10 students per school to run it at a school. And if, for example, if we didn't have that many at one elementary school, we could condense them to one school then. But to run at 4 sites, we would need 10 students minimum to run it. So Ms. Donnelly Roach has done a great job working through DCY to get all our approvals and so forth. Our elementary principals have worked well to think about the spaces and so forth. So with your approval this evening, we will open registration tomorrow, and then we'll begin the process of advertising for staffing of the program.
You said there's a minimum, is there a max?
Max would just be staffing then. So as the more students come on, it's 13 to 1. So if we got to 26, we'd add another person. We would just add staff on.
So the more staff, I mean, the more registrations you have, it's to our benefit.
Right.
Dr. Sanquioni, do you have anything for us with regard to how the costing worked out, the research that was done? All we have is the flyer?
You have links to the frequently asked questions and parent handbook. We do have a cost analysis, so I can provide that to you if you want. It just,
Yeah, so I,
I have a couple of questions.
yeah, I have a,
Motion first.
yeah, why don't we have, I'll entertain a motion to approve opening registration.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay, just so we can sort of get into the discussion of this. So, I have one comment and a question then. So I think it would be a good idea to bring the cost analysis back to the committee, either at the next meeting or the first one in June.
Sure.
The biggest question I have is, this is a great program and really promises to provide a needed service. And a number of 10 seems certainly doable. My biggest question is what insulates the district, if it can be, from the assumptions, and you always have to make some sorts of assumptions from it running in the red and then sort of over budget.
yes, we've built this so it won't do that. That's just simple management. So if you have less than 10, you have to condense and, maybe run one site, and I'll pick Rangers, for example, in the Fort Barton, Pecasset kids go there, and then, because we have buses that then could get them out back to their sites. So again, it's just based upon numbers, and once
So if
registration.
you don't have the numbers, you don't run it.
We do-
Or
well-
you run it in a different way.
Exactly.
way, yeah.
We run
Right.
it so we're always in the black.
So I guess I like the idea actually of opening registration now, and then you
Right.
sort of see
Right.
what the
Yeah.
interest is, and you've got,
Yeah.
a solid 3 months to
Exactly.
understand exactly.
And then we'll understand what our staffing
the
needs are.
program is. Yeah.
How do you plan to staff it?
Well, minimum 2 people per site to start, and then based upon registration numbers, we'll adjust from there. Again,
Who's staffing?
excuse me?
Who is staffing? Not, so 2, but who's teachers?
We'll make it
Parent-
available to whoever wants to work it. It doesn't require that you have a
So
degree
theoretically,
or
it could be like a
teacher's thing.
part-time job or.
Anybody? So it doesn't have to be within the district, but
Doesn't
they'll have to
in
be
the district,
BCI
no.
checked?
Yeah, it certainly has to
That-
follow all those regulations to
Have
working
you
with
come up
children.
with a salary, wages?
Yes, we have.
Okay.
And then it'll all be in the sort of cost out that you
I'll
have.
email that to you tomorrow, yeah,
Yeah.
which is how we set the rate.
Okay.
I mean, if you want, I mean, it's certainly up to the board. Certainly the finance subcommittee could take a look at all of that first if you want, or do you just want everybody to look at it,
I'd
which
like
is
to look
fine?
at it.
Which is fine, yeah.
I'd
okay.
prefer that we all look at it, but if you guys want
Well,
to take
no,
a
if
crack
everyone.
at it, by all means.
Well, no, if everyone's gonna look at it, then there's no point, but.
Yeah.
I have a couple of questions. May I ask
Yeah,
you?
yeah.
Amy, you
Yeah.
were the.
We're gonna
she
give
was
it
the
to you right
key
now.
person, right? Do that, and then I'll just ask, I just have a few questions.
Where are you going? Oh, she's going to make a copy. Why don't you ask your questions?
Well, you know what, though, it's hard to analyze that like real time when you
Yeah.
just get it for the first
so
time.
I think it'd be fine to
Open
have, I
registration.
think it'd be fine to
Tomorrow
have you send it to us
registration
electronically.
Mike,
If you
it's
I
approve
was
okay.
on that site, but there was no site.
It's, yes,
Get on there,
Yeah,
I
you
thought
can't
it
go
was
on
my
it.
technical skills, but it wasn't really.
and that's not
All
open
right.
yet.
You can't do it.
Why don't we allow Mrs. Pable to ask her questions?
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm gonna direct them to Amy because she was the key person, right? You were the one.
Well, it's certainly a team effort. Everybody's
Okay,
been involved.
okay.
Happy to do my best to answer.
The ratio was 13-1.
Yes.
Except for kindergarten. Kindergartners, you have to have 12-1.
So we have to wait and see who will
You have to
enroll,
see,
and then
right.
we'll, right, so.
We're not we, because it's a school department. I was thinking maybe because this is part of the extension of the school's day, start school. Are you still required to be licensed and follow all those rules and regulations of the state? Do you have
That's
to
my
have a director? Do
understanding.
you have to have a site coordinator?
Mhm.
Do you have to follow?
We believe we have to follow the
Everything.
same childcare regulations from
Yeah,
DCYF,
yeah.
and we have submitted a request to be licensed. We've looked at the floor plan,
Mr. Mendes has met with the fire marshal. You know, we've looked at the floor plans and you know, gone as far as we can
Right.
and would await a DCOF site visit to
So
move
do
to
you
the
have
next
to
step
have a
of
license
application.
for each building?
That's my understanding. Each site would need to be
Because
licensed.
that's the way I understood it too, but, there's one more thing I was gonna ask you. Oh, on the flyer, it says that payments can be made through myschoolbucks.com or by check. So, myschoolbucks.com is food service, kind of, that's how we pay our lunch.
Yeah,
Kids
you can
pay
use
their
it for,
lunch.
you can use it
You
for
can use it
multiple
for
purposes.
anything.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so what ends up happening is families that we currently already have enrolled in the district and that use My School Bucks, when they log in, the page will actually change a little bit. And on the main screen, instead of it bringing you directly into food services, you'll have two options where you can choose either early rises or food services.
Okay.
So you have your choice to choose which one.
Okay.
And then once you're inside the early rises, you'll be able to choose the product, whether
Okay,
you're
that
3 or
makes good
5.
sense.
Are
I
you-
couldn't think that Chartwell's was
No.
being involved in, for school care. My child, 310, my child is a free lunch kiddo. Do we somehow change the tuition rate for my child because it's free lunch?
No.
Or they all are paying the
So
same?
our handbook does say that
These are
families can
questions that
certainly
I know are gonna
apply
come
for
up.
that. Families can make a request, certainly.
Right,
And that's
right.
what our parent handbook says
Right.
at this time.
I love early
Can make a
rises.
request
I
for
thought it was
what?
so cool.
For some sort of adjustment.
For an adjustment,
But that
because the
But it's,
tuition includes
we've got to
the
run it
breakfast.
in the block.
Yeah, that would be the question is,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know, if,
I know that's gonna come up.
There may be a
if we-
hardship
if
situation,
we
but
say
that would be at
everybody's
the
supposed to
discretion of the
pay
district.
15, but I can only afford 10, I appreciate they're only being able to afford 10, but then,
Because of, my child already gets free lunch
well,
or reduced lunch.
This is an optional program,
Yeah,
though.
absolutely.
So
Oh,
it's
yes.
not,
Right.
yeah.
so I don't, yeah, I think we'd have to,
That's gonna be
there would
a
have to be a
question.
whole other, well, yeah, you know, I get that, and I think that would have to be a whole other discussion as to, is there a mechanism by which you could actually make it income sensitive in
So
some way?
that's- Yeah, that's different.
But,
So at this time, the rate is $15
what it
per
is.
day.
Yeah.
Day.
And you can drop off as early as 6:30 at the middle school or at 7. We do have built-in a sibling
how old do the kids
rate.
go up to?
So
They drop
8.
it-
To 8th grade, right, so 12.
Up to 8th grade?
You're sending your children.
I'm
right?
thinking about
He's
it.
going, they're going.
$15.
So this is
No,
limited
you
Seems
can
to,
worth
send
it.
them on Saturdays and Sundays.
through
is
eight.
this limited to Tiverton School District students only?
Yes.
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 And this is, because it's optional, we don't get into the pay-to-play issues.
Right.
Because it's not a mandatory program,
And
it's
certainly
not
not
during
part
the
of the school
day,
day.
it's
No.
not part of the school day, it's not, okay.
Is there some kind of structure put forth to get a commitment from a family? Is it a weekly commitment, or how's that
We
gonna work?
we wrote it as a monthly
As a
commitment,
monthly.
where there's a registration deposit and then pay in advance by month.
For
Oh,
each
pay in
and every day?
advance.
What if a family wanted to do 2 days a week?
Yep, it's an option.
So you have to commit to the 5 days.
Is it?
Nope, you can commit to 2, 3, or 5.
But you have to pay
but
in
you have to pay the
advance.
tuition, just like we do. Because that's what you have to do. You can't say, okay,
It's not
I
a
have
drop-in
this and that,
service.
You have to be able to
because-
staff.
No.
I
Right.
get it.
We've got
Right.
In order to honor those expectations
just-
and keep the children safe, we have to staff it and know who's coming.
You have to do it that way.
Yes.
Because otherwise, it's a bookkeeping nightmare.
Right. All right, well,
I think it's exciting.
I've been hoping and praying for this since the day I got
It's
elected, so I'm
exciting.
thrilled. However, I would have preferred to have gotten a lot more documentation in front of us today than a flyer. You've answered our questions very well, but there's been nothing on paper with what your plan is in writing, so that we can have it as documentation for the minutes of our meeting. I really do feel that that's, because this is a fairly major undertaking for our district, it's a first-time undertaking, I'd like us to at least have that as our basis for moving forward.
okay.
Okay, one more question and I'm
Yep.
done. Supervision. supervision overall, not supervision within the buildings themselves, but something happens, I drop my child off, but my child disappears. Who is gonna be in charge of supervision? Say it ends up being 3 buildings, like 2 elementaries in the middle. My child falls off the table in a lunchroom because they're out there. Do you have to have a nurse? Do you have to have a nurse? Because we have nurses in schools, but not at that time. You don't have to, not
You don't have to.
required to have a nurse.
Not required.
Wow. Okay.
Just like any
I'm
other,
concerned about
any other
supervision.
early day child drop-off doesn't have a,
Yeah.
doesn't have a
No,
nurse
but
either.
they may have a call-in nurse, because that's what we.
Or they're
use.
probably certified in maybe, CPR or something.
yeah,
You
you
might
have
have
to have
somebody
2
on
people.
staff that will be,
You have to have
right.
2 people certified in CPR.
Right.
Okay.
That's exciting.
Any other questions or
That was
comments?
fine.
So the motion is to go ahead and allow the registration to open tomorrow, and we look forward to hearing more information at the upcoming meetings. All those in favor? Okay, thank you. Thank you for all your work. Item 10G, update on Director of Finance search. Dr. Sanquioni?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So at this time, the second search was open and closed. We are going to provide you with the resumes of all the candidates who've applied, and we'd ask them to work with you to schedule some interviews moving forward. So you're receiving the resumes as we speak, and then I'll put out some emails to you to see what's convenient for you, how we can schedule the interviews.
Okay.
So are we gonna?
It's closed.
Yeah.
So are we going to meet, I thought what we were going to do was meet an executive session, have you
And
tell
review the-
us
yeah.
which 3 or whatever you recommend, and then go, and then see if we want to add any or delete any, and then go from there.
Yeah, I think that would be a good idea,
Yeah.
would
We'll
be
have to do that the next time we meet.
Do that on the 28th, or is
Sure.
that going to take, because we have Joe for a while, right?
We have Joe till the end of the school year or
Okay.
beyond.
So why don't we do that on the 28th in
Okay.
executive session? You give us your picks, and we'll have the resumes. We'll say, I want to add or delete or whatever, and then we can kind of go from there, Peter, as to how we want to
Okay.
go forward.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Any other comment, questions? Everybody's okay with that plan?
Yes.
Mrs. Black?
Yep.
Okay. 11, announcement scheduled meetings, reports, school committee meeting 528, presentation on bullying, prevention, and
What's
CTE.
that?
So is CTE chronic traumatic encephalopathy or something else?
No, it's,
Career technical education.
Showing off.
Oh, Dr. Larkin.
That's what I see when I see it.
so we're going to have presentations from whom?
On what topic?
Bullying,
It's
I don't
relevant
know,
to
I'm
schools.
Oh.
reading what's up
On the
there.
bullying, right, you're going to receive a presentation. It shows our prevention and intervention strategies at the elementary, middle, and high school.
For
So
bullying?
For bullying, yeah.
That's good.
And then
That's good.
the CTE is something that's
We'll-
completely
so
separate?
completely
Okay.
different. Mr. Ashley would like to update you on our current CTE programs and the ones we have planned for the future.
Oh, that's
Okay,
wonderful.
That's good.
Perfect.
It's very exciting.
All right.
Dr. Sanquioni, we've had each year, I guess in the June meeting, a spotlight on success, celebrating success. I always forget the name of it.
Spotlight on
Spotlight
Spotlight on
Spotlight on
Success.
success.
Yep.
I'm going to assume that the committee wants to do that again in June.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't we? Of course.
Of course we would.
Yes.
We have also, the last few years, invited our PTOs and our boosters, if they so wish, to join us that evening and
On June 11th.
kind of let us know what they've been up to in the past year. I know a number of them have been very active, and I love hearing about everything that they've done.
That would be
So
good, yeah.
if you could extend that invitation.
For June 11th?
For June 11th as well.
That would be nice.
Okay. Anyone else? All right, I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So quickly, Deb.
All those in
Bruins
favor?
at 8.
You already said all those.
Not even 2 o'clock yet, Manny.